Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.
Hey everyone, Jim Fitzpatrick. Thanks so much for joining me on another edition of The Small Business Show, exclusively right here at ASBN.com and now streaming on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Implementing digital marketing strategies are vital for businesses to stay relevant and adapt to changing consumer behaviors. We're joined now by CEO of Zen Media, best-selling author and keynote speaker, Shama Hyder. So Shama has been named Zen Master of Marketing, I love it, by Entrepreneur Magazine and has been featured in Forbes and Inc. Magazine. Welcome back to the show, Shama. So happy that you could take the time out of your schedule to join us.
Thanks, Jim. Happy to be here and happy to talk about my favorite subject, digital marketing.
Something that every small business owner and medium-sized business owner, I should say, knows they need it and knows they don't completely understand it or know it that well, right? And they're challenged in this area, including myself. So it can be very tricky. If you can waste a lot of money if you don't know what you're doing in this area. By the same token, if you get it right, you can make a lot of money, right? You can get a great return on your digital marketing spend, right?
Well, certainly it's where your customers are. So if the old adage is true, you go where your customers are, that's where your customers are. And yes, you're right. It is a scary landscape for many small business owners, but that's what we're here for.
That's exactly right. So what are some of the digital marketing strategies that are crucial for businesses to adhere to?
So digital marketing is a very big space, right? So A lot of times when people hear that term, they automatically think advertising, which is, just to be clear, is a type of digital marketing, but it is not the only way to reach your audience.
Right.
So what I actually encourage, especially small business owners, to think about is put aside the technology for a second and think about your customers and think about yourself, how you as a consumer engage in the world and start there. And I urge them to think about it in sort of two boxes. You think about discoverability and then how, memorability, right? So what these two things basically mean is, one, when someone is looking to find what you're offering, are you findable? Can they discover you easily? And this means making sure that your website's working, that you have a presence. When someone searches for, let's say you provide landscape services, when they search for landscapes providers in your area, do you come up?
Right.
So are you easy to find, right? So I think this is perhaps the most direct way when people think about marketing. But the other category that I really want people to think about and not forget is memorability, meaning are you first to mind when they have that need? And so if you go back to earlier days of actually marketing and what I call our heyday of marketing, those catchy slogans, right? Where's the beef? Where's you think about all these sort of famous things that we have, or I think everybody has a jingle from when we were kids that would play on TV. And so you want to think about marketing in that category too, is how can you be top of mind? Because remember, for a lot of businesses, the services, especially let's say if you're B2B, it may not be that someone needs your services all the time. And so what you want to make sure is that you have that mind share. So when they need that, they think of you first.
Right. Gotcha. So how can small businesses leverage social media platforms to build brand awareness? I mean, this is something that is near and dear to my heart because I think that is where so many businesses can really take their business to the next level and do it for basically free. I mean, I say free, yes, it's going to take some time out of your schedule or your team's schedule, but if done right, this can be an extremely smart move in the sense that the return on investment can be, 500-fold, right? Because you're not spending really anything on it.
Well, so I'm going to put it this way, Jim. The presence is free. The reach is going to cost you, right? So I think even when social media first came out, so you're absolutely right. Social media is not something for folks to ignore. This is where, again, your customers are. This is where they're engaging. They're watching Instagram Reels. They're on TikTok. They're on LinkedIn, especially, again, if you are B2B. They are on, on Facebook. So you have to go where your customers are. This is the hands down truth of all marketing. Now, what's interesting is algorithms have dramatically changed in that in the early days, as long as you had a good presence, you could reach your audience, right? But now things have really changed. And if you are looking to next level it, just be ready to spend some money. It's not that the ROI isn't there anymore, but it's not like the ROI that, to be completely candid, that you would get even 10 years ago. So that means that you have to be more creative.
Yeah.
You really need to be, it's almost like, it's funny, I call it the Jaguar effect, meaning you do all this work, you wait patiently, and then you look for that moment. And sometimes that moment happens quickly. Other times it can take a little minute. And then it's how you respond to that, right? And so I don't know if anybody's seen, I thought this was really interesting, but Stanley, the manufacturer of tumblers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Old, not a very exciting product,
no.
in my opinion, but consumer goods. There was a lady who posted a TikTok video and she talked about how her car, I don't know the details about how this happened, but her car had been scorched. But yet her tumbler remained and the ice was still cold. So she made that video and the company responded and the president responded and they bought her a free car, right? And so, but the amount of positive press that they got and the earned media and the reach, it was more than a Super Bowl commercial. You can't buy that kind of a goodwill. So it's a combination of things. The other tip that I will share with everyone watching here is that remember the big shift that's happened is people consume publicly, but we share privately. And what I mean is if you are on social media and you're judging the success of your work by how many comments you get, you're going to be disappointed, right? So remember that while people consume your information, and that's what you should be looking at, how many impressions, how many people are watching this, because the shares, they're happening privately.
Gotcha. And also the engagement, right? Don't you want to look at what the engagement is on your social media posts, right? To see if that's...
So engagement being exactly that, impressions, how many people are watching it, that is engagement. Now, if you look at engagement as how many people are leaving comments, think about how many things you look at, Jim. How many things do you leave a comment on, right? It's either really got to get your goat. Exactly.
Right.
But now I ask you, how many of those things do you share with your team? Perhaps
all the
through an
time.
email.
Right.
Or you text message someone that, or someone asks you for a recommendation of something and you send them that, right? So this is what we call dark social, by the way. And it's a phenomena. It happens. And so your goal should be consumption, because consumption is engagement.
I love it. And I agree with you. It could be, I never leave comments on anything, but I do forward them and I do look at them. And sometimes I purchase the product, or tell my friends and family about the product that I saw. So, that's working in a very big way, isn't it?
And guess what, Jim? There's no way really for a company to track that. So, because that's dark, right?
That's a good point.
At some point that goes,
That's good. That's a very good point. So another digital marketing strategy is actually email marketing, right? And we don't talk about it as much because it's not as sexy and shiny as social marketing, but email marketing can still really drive traffic, can it not?
Email marketing absolutely can drive traffic. It can drive conversions. Now, I will say this, just like every other thing out there in marketing, and they say marketers ruin everything, and it's true. You just have to look at an inbox, is that you do need to be more creative with email marketing. So it's not enough just to say, I'm going to send out an email to my customers.
Sure.
You need to think about the value, right? So if you're going to take up space in their inbox, what can you really do for them? How can you make sure that it goes beyond hawking your product? And I'll use an example. Let's say that you have a company that sells bridal wear. If you are sending a newsletter out, think about what else could be useful for the bride on her big day. Could you team up with a catering company and share, what's trending right now at weddings? Can you share some Pinterest board examples of whatever it might be? So that's really you have to shift away from thinking about the platform or the methodology and start thinking about your customers and what their grander needs are beyond just what your product serves.
Sure. No question. I completely agree with that statement. Are there any other emerging trends or technologies in digital marketing that businesses should keep an eye on as we go into 2024?
Oh, just a small little thing called AI, Jim.
Oh, just that.
Yes.
Okay. Oh, that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Artificial intelligence. And here's where I think AI is so interesting. It's not something that you can layer on like butter on top of bread, meaning let's just throw some AI on there, which is, we do this a lot. Like, let's sprinkle some marketing,
right.
let's,
Sounds
splash
good.
of AI.
Yeah.
Where I think artificial intelligence can be super helpful, especially for small businesses that are time strapped, that need, the return, but may not have all the resources, is in efficiencies.
Okay.
Right. So I'm not saying go to ChatGPT and have it write all your blog posts, but certainly there are so many tools out there today. And so, for example, Adobe just released Adobe Express. It allows you to do things with images and videos that before it took a lot of effort and very expensive technology to do, like turning a video into a fun GIF, or taking the background out of an image, or making your product photos look better. So I think that's really the emerging technology broadly that I think marketers across the board should be very excited about.
Yeah, boy, that's for sure. It seems like as soon as you got your hands around one particular element and you figured it out, there's like three more that pop up that now you have to address. It's crazy, right?
You're absolutely right. I mean, it is a changing world, but where there is change, there is also opportunity. So I continue to believe that this is the most exciting time for any human being in history to be alive.
And just for a shameless plug here, what does Zen Media do, and what solutions does it provide to entrepreneurs?
Well, Zen Media has been around for 16 years, and we work with B2B companies providing PR and marketing services, but mainly we help them generate demand and capture demand online.
That's fantastic. So for those companies out there that are in the B2B environment, this might be the answer that you're looking for right here. So Shama Hyder, CEO of Zen Media, best-selling author and keynote speaker, thank you so much for joining us today. Hopefully we can visit with you again. I know that our viewers get a lot out of your visits here with us, so thank you so much.
My pleasure, Jim. I can tell you my kids get a real kick out of watching me on Roku, so there's that.
There you go, right there in the comfort of your living rooms.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of The Small Business Show with Jim Fitzpatrick, exclusively on ASBN.com.